JBNN will keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones, and in the news, St. Catherine wanted man arrested in Manchester. A man wanted for murder and shooting incidents in St. Catherine was arrested in Manchester following a stop-and-search operation at the New Green Roundabout in Mandeville on Tuesday. A police source said that shortly after midday, a bus operating as a public passenger vehicle was stopped by the police at the roundabout. The man, who was a passenger in the bus, was seen acting suspiciously, the police source said. He was removed from the vehicle and taken into police custody for processing. He never had any ID. He was questioned and was acting in a suspicious manner and was taken in for processing. He is wanted for several murders and robberies in the St. Catherine area, said the source. The wanted man's identity has been withheld pending an identification parade. Jamaicans engaging in illegal migration putting lives at risk, says Johnson Smith. Jamaicans engaging in illegal migration are exposing themselves to dangerous situations such as kidnapping, human trafficking and death, warns Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Camino Johnson Smith. She was speaking during Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing at Jamaica House, where she continued to implore Jamaicans to not attempt to enter a country illegally. Johnson Smith noted that there are a relatively small number of Jamaicans who are pursuing unlawful migration by traveling through Mexico, Panama, and Belize. The minister said that data received from Mexico and Panama and validated by the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency PICA showed that 143 Jamaicans were refused entry in Mexico between 2018 and March 31 this year. In the case of Panama, for the same period, 2,167 Jamaicans were refused entry and 81 Jamaicans were deported, she reported. Johnson Smith said it is unclear whether the data from Panama included persons who attempted to travel to Mexico through the country, since there are no direct flights to Mexico from Jamaica. Statistics on Belize are still pending validation from PICA. She said that illegal entry affects the reputation of the Jamaican passport, despite the government's efforts to increase its security to better facilitate citizens who want to exercise their right of freedom of movement. Decisions like this, they really do fight against the efforts of the government, and they do affect the reputation of the passport and the immigration experience of our lawful travelers, she said. She noted that the government continues to consult at different levels with its partners in Belize, Mexico, and Panama on the matter. She noted that the government continues to consult at different levels with its partners in Belize, Mexico, and Panama on the matter. We do not want the immigration experience of our lawful travelers to get worse. We want our athletes, entrepreneurs, family members, ordinary Jamaicans exercising their right to travel to do so without difficulty, in comfort and with dignity. And part of that requires our fellow citizens taking sound decisions about traveling lawfully, Johnson Smith emphasized. 13-year-old girl among two shot in Manchester attempted robbery. A 13-year-old girl and a 49-year-old man have been hospitalized after they were shot and injured during an attempted robbery in Harmons, South Manchester on Tuesday night. A police source said that about 9 p.m., 3 people were closing a shop in Harmons when 2 gunmen traveling on a motorcycle attacked them. The 2 men on the motorcycle with guns attempted to rob them after they closed the shop. The gunmen were unsuccessful, and when leaving, they opened fire hitting the 13-year-old and the man. The other person was not shot, said the source. Residents said that the 13-year-old and her mother had just closed the shop and were traveling on a bike taxi driven by the man when the gunmen attacked. The 2 injured people were taken to hospital and admitted for treatment. Man arrested following fatal beating in Clarendon. 1 man is dead and another is in custody, following a dispute in Maypen, Clarendon last night. The deceased is 64-year-old Paul Clark of Loddy Green in Frankfield in the parish. The police report that about 8:19 p.m., both men had a disagreement which escalated into a fight. It is reported that Clark used a piece of board to hit the 44-year-old man. It is further reported that the man took hold of the board and used it to hit Clark several times in the chest. Clark collapsed and later died from his injuries. The man subsequently turned himself into the police and remains in custody. Retired bus driver shot dead in St. Anne. A 67-year-old man was shot dead at his home in Exchange, St. Anne, on Tuesday morning. He has been identified as Christopher Smith, a retired bus driver from Huntermouth Street in Exchange. Reports were that around 5:30 a.m., Smith was at home attending to his flower garden when loud explosions were heard. He was later found lying face down, with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the back of his head. The police were called and the scene processed. where 2 spent casings were found. He was pronounced dead at the St. Ansby Hospital, and his body later transferred to the morgue. Gun seized in St. Catherine. The St. Catherine South Police Division seized the gun during an operation in an open lot near Gartuka in Greater Portmore in the parish on Tuesday. Reports are that the lawmen conducted a snap raid in the area where 3 males were observed acting suspiciously. The men reportedly ran on the approach of the police. On their escape, one of the men dropped a bag. The bag was later retrieved by the police and searched. A 9mm Browning pistol with a magazine was found in the bag. The men, however, made good on their escape. Ammunition found in bag of rice in Rosetown. A cache of ammunition was seized by the police in Rosetown, Kingston on Tuesday. The recovery was made during an operation on Georgie Street. Reports from the Denham Town Police saw that about 4:45 p.m. lawmen were on an operation in the area when a premises was searched and 13 assorted rounds of ammunition were found in a bag of rice inside a microwave. No one was arrested in relation to the seizure. NYPD hunting killers who gunned down Jamaican. Investigators in New York City are still searching for 2 men who killed a Jamaican man outside the St. Albans nightclub in Queens on Saturday. The murder was caught on closed-circuit television. Footage of the incident is being circulated on social media. The victim has been identified as 23-year-old Javon Jamison, otherwise called Blingers. According to the New York Post, Jamison, who is of a Florida address and originally from East Kingston, was chased by 2 gunmen who fired more than a dozen shots combined at the intersection of Sullivan Road and American Boulevard in Jamaica, Queens, about 2 a.m. Saturday. The victim was taken to the Jamaica Hospital Medical Center, where he died, the police said. The attackers, who were dressed in hoodies, casually left the scene after the shooting, leaving Jamison for dead. On Tuesday, a spokesperson with the NYPD said the killers were still at large. The police indicated that Jamison was found with gunshot wounds to his torso. At the Jamison's East Kingston home community on Tuesday, residents acknowledged knowing him but declined to comment out of fear of the unknown. One resident of the community was in a wait-and-see mode as they were not sure of the circumstances. According to a source, Jamison was the only son for his mother, who also resides in the United States. It is understood that Jamison left Jamaica a little over 2 years ago. His killing is the second such incident that has shocked the Jamaican community in the tri-state area over the Easter holidays. Last week, popular veteran music selector Ricky Trooper was left questioning God's plans hours after his daughter was found murdered at her home in Connecticut in the United States. Bernard Destiny McCoy, the 23-year-old mother of a 1-year-old son, was found unresponsive on Thursday around 11:20 a.m. inside her condominium in Bridgeport, the police said. The Bridgeport police have since listed Derek Francis, 41, as wanted in connection with the death of McCoy. The police say Francis is known to frequent the North End in Bridgeport and Bronx, New York, and should be considered armed and dangerous. Several members of the entertainment fraternity have publicly called for Francis to turn himself into the authorities. 11 homeless after a railway lane fire in St. James. 3 children are among at least 11 people left homeless after fire destroyed several dwellings on Railway Lane, Montego Bay in St. James on Tuesday night. No injuries were reported. Eyewitnesses said that the blaze was first noticed about 8:30 p.m. Fire was seen coming from one of the structures in the tightly packed tenement yard-style space. The fire reportedly spread quickly, and within minutes, several other houses were engulfed. 2 units from the nearby Barney Street Fire Station responded to the blaze. Despite their speedy response, for which they were commended by residents, they were unable to prevent the destruction of 3 buildings which housed 7 families. Investigations into the origin of the fire are ongoing. 16-year-old to be sentenced after robbing schoolgirl of $500. A 16-year-old boy was among 2 people accused of using a knife to rob a grade 7 student of $500 is to be sentenced come June 12. The teenager, who is charged alongside 18-year-old Oblique Davis, was the only one from the pair to plead guilty to the charge of robbery with aggravation in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Tuesday. The allegations are that on February 21, the defendant, when armed with a knife, allegedly approached a complainant in the corporate area, held her up, and robbed her of the $500. The court was told that Davis and the teenager allegedly tried to escape. However, they were swiftly caught by citizens. The mother of the 16-year-old told presiding judge Lauren Cole Montague that he was in state care at the Manning's Boys' Home in Kingston when he ran away from the facility. The incident, she said, occurred shortly after. During the proceedings, The judge ordered that a social inquiry report be prepared before the child is to be sentenced. Additionally, the Crown is to receive a further statement from the complainant. Davis was remanded until June 12, while the teenager's bail was extended. Mother of two to be sentenced for beating child with electric wire. A mother of two was dragged to the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Tuesday after she was charged for using an electric wire to beat her 14-year-old daughter. Camille Summon pleaded guilty to assault occasioning actual bodily harm and cruelty to a child when she stood before Senior Parish Judge Lauren Cole Montague. The Crown told the judge that while reprimanding the child on March 30, someone used an electric wire to beat her all over her body, causing cuts and bruises. However, the Crown did not disclose or report of the incident, which landed the woman in court. After hearing the allegation, the judge said, "I can understand why you were charged with cruelty." Explaining her action, the woman said she doesn't normally hit her children. "I'm a single mother of two, Your Honor. I work very hard. It has come to my knowledge that she is interested in other things that is not childish. She don't listen. It hurt me as a mother that I see my 14-year-old texting her friend disgusting things that she wants to do," someone said, adding that she knows she was wrong and even issued an apology to her daughter. In response, Cole Montague said, "Mother, one thing I know for a fact is that perhaps one of the hardest jobs on God's green earth these days is to parent a child and to parent a teenager, especially because you're exposed to so much." She continued, "Some of the things we learned about when we were 18 and 20, you are here an 11-year-old, 10-year-old, and if you go to the basic schools, you'll be frightened to hear what they're talking about. But there's a place that as a parent you must not cross. That's why I allowed you to talk, because anytime a judge is supposed to sentence, I think judges must try to appreciate why a person acted in the way that they acted." She continued. Turning to the teenager, who was accompanied by her grandmother to court, the judge asked her to remove her mask. "Such a pretty little thing," Cole Montague said after seeing her face. "I want you to do well, and I don't want you to be distracted." The judge went on to ask, "Talk to Auntie Judge. You think you have been good all the time?" "Yes," she answered. "Not even Auntie Judge good all the time," Cole Montague said in a motherly tone. Responding, the child said she only sometimes sent the text. A social inquiry report was requested for Salmon before she is to be sentenced. Sentencing is expected to be done on May 25. "Little one, be good for me and be good for yourself," the judge said. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.